Hello everyone, I'm Krasi Attasio, and we have important event on the sky to talk about, and this is Saturn turning direct from being retrograde for quite some time. Now Saturn will be stationary, of course, before turning direct from 15th to 18th, 19th of September, and after that on 19th of September Saturn will be direct. Now let's first imagine what is the nature of Saturn and what to expect from this direct motion of the planet. First of all, direct motion is illusionary. Direct from our perspective. The planet is never turning backwards or becomes really stationary. This is only from our perspective. And also important to know is that Saturn is malefic planet. We cannot imagine, we cannot expect wonders and suddenly beautiful events associated with Saturn even when turning direct, because Saturn's role is to fulfill the karma. Saturn is called the Lord of Tears, Saturn is Lord of Grief, Saturn is the Lord of Time, so he always takes care that the karmic events in our life are being fulfilled and that we are disciplined. So actually, when Saturn turns direct, many things will become a bit faster, will start coming into place, but we cannot expect that suddenly Saturn will become good. It is rare to see Saturn good in the chart. Really, people who grew to awareness, to spirituality, to amazing sense of discipline, moral values, can experience good Saturn in their charts. And this will be seen through the placement of Saturn in the natal charts of these people. So Saturn was retrograded with Ketu. Ketu is, together with Saturn, both are associated with distraction. They're not by no means both are easy. And when together, they're not easy at all. And this changing of direction of Saturn is happening also when he is in exact conjunction with Ketu, the lunar node, the tail of the dragon. We have Rahu, who is the head of the dragon, and we have Ketu, who is the Rahu is the head, Ketu is the tail. So Ketu and Rahu together can be very fiery and quite destructive. And we saw how this worked on the economy, or leading us to recession. We saw this in many ways. We saw how the agriculture this year didn't work for almost no one, completely destroyed agriculture on Earth, because Saturn is the Lord of agriculture as well, because Ninurta, the ancient god Ninurta who rules Saturn, is the Lord of agriculture. Now let's say something important. What is very positive? Saturn is predictable. We cannot say that we don't know what is happening when Saturn is doing his phases, because Saturn is predictable. And in the ancient times, people would fear more Mars than Saturn, because Mars was unpredictable. They knew, we know how Saturn acts. We know what Saturn can possibly bring us. We know that he will not bring us joy. By no means Saturn will bring us joy. What the relief will be now is that when he comes direct, the things which were stuck, which we couldn't solve, which would bring us very much to the past, which will make us very much reanalyze, redo, reschedule, completely shift belief system, moral values, discipline, time orientation, if you want, completely changing our habits. Now kind of things come into place and go a bit faster, because when retrograde, he's very slow, of course, and very much bringing us into the past. Saturn is a planet associated with the past, associated with the ancient studies, associated with past karma. He's very much about the past. Together with Ketu, they now move together. Ketu is also the past. Ketu is our past expertise. Saturn is also expertise, also ancient knowledge. So they're both about this. They're both about studies. And the more we study, the more we are into ancient knowledge, the more we maintain high moral values, without deviating from the truth. By no means we are allowed to deviate from the truth, the more Saturn will be beneficial, if we can say this, for us, because he's very difficult, he's challenging. He was very challenging for all people who have a Sagittarius ascendant, Sagittarius moon, Sagittarius sun, Sagittarius midheaven. All those people now, since November 2017, with Saturn in Sagittarius, were going and still are going through quite challenging time, especially when Saturn was retrograde. Now, it will be some kind of relief, but not complete, when he comes direct for them. For those people who have Sagittarius on a key position, and I'm talking about sidereal coordinates, not tropical. So for those people, this was the Saturn in general on their key position is challenging still, but especially when he was retrograde was more challenging. And now Saturn and Ketu are together. We can't skip talking about Ketu because Ketu is so important. Now Ketu with Saturn. Ketu, when in Jupiterian position, is not bad. Ketu loves Jupiter, loves Sagittarius, and then he kind of receives to a degree of these positive Jupiterian energies, but Saturn and Ketu together are associated with distraction, with sorrow, with tears, and this is what it is. Even when direct, I told you, it is a bit easier when he comes direct, but it is Saturn, it is Ketu, and they're not there to bring us happiness, for sure not. If they're on a very good position in the horoscope, exalted say, if the person maintains high moral values, never says a lie, has discipline like a soldier, respects time, respects people, respects nature, because Saturn is Lord of agriculture, then of course Saturn will operate in much easier way. And with this I'm giving you the remedy to operate when Saturn is heavily influencing you. So yes, he's turning direct. What to expect? Not very different from what we had already, but a bit towards solving what we have been struggling during his retrograde phase. So we still need to maintain the high moral values. We still need to be sure we're not deviating from the truth. This is a key important. We still need to be disciplined. We still need to be connected with nature. All this belongs to Saturn. He is the owner of all those things, if you want to say a strong word. Ketu is the past expertise. He's happy in Sagittarius. Let's say that he's not very severely harmful, but still Ketu is Ketu, and both are destructive. Ketu and Saturn together. They're both heavy. They're both not easy. Saturn is a slow planet, so even if he's direct, he's very slow, and he's not giving his lessons and solutions fast. And not surprising, we can predict Saturn. We have difficulties to predict Mars. Mars is called by the ancients the unpredictable planet, but Saturn we can predict. We know in the chart, when I see a chart, I know what this Saturn brought to the person. You can really see that. Saturn in Sagittarius, Saturn is peregrine, which would say he doesn't have any particular dignities. Even now, he's turning direct and becomes stationary in a Mercurian section of Sagittarius. Mercurian section will rule our minds, our communication, for a little bit better, but he will be stuck from 15 to 18 when he will be stationary. So he will rule our minds, he will influence, not rule, the markets. This will give slow improvement of the market, but not forever. It will be again like something cosmetic, but there will be growth still on the markets with his turning direct. But still, Saturn will work on people's minds, and during these 3-4 days of stationary fast. He may produce fears, anxieties in people. Keep this in mind, and when you know, don't allow it. Connect with nature. See the sun, welcome the sun. See Saturn, approach the planetary divinity. And I'm sure that you can go through this 3-4 days period easily. But yes, it's happening in a Mercurian section of Sagittarius, very near the nebula. And the nebula of Sagittarius is a very, very spiritual, divine place, very white, full of white stars, because we're talking about Sagittarius, where we're having the galactic center, where we're having the Milky Way, a very special place about spirituality. We're having special divinities that it's known that that there is a lot of traffic happening on the Milky Way, really like on a highway. Saturn turns direct in a place there, which is, as I said, the nebula concentration of stars. So we need to be very spiritual, responsible for our actions, also because Saturn is there on this particular placement. We need to be very responsible for what we do in order not to experience badly this turning, this stationary a few days and turning direct into this particular section of Sagittarius. So I'm sure it is a better thing, of course, definitely, obviously, the direct motion of Saturn, but this is Saturn, let's not forget, this is Saturn. We cannot expect miracles. Yes, to a degree, things will change on the markets. They will start moving a bit better. Yes, you will start solving issues that you've been stuck for a long time, especially if this is ruling your 10th house, if Sagittarius is in your 10th house, on your ascendant, with your moon, with your with your sun. For example, if you had studies to complete, this would be a very helpful period when he turns direct. If you had disease that you've been struggling with for a long time, you can have also now kind of solving already, like things will start healing for better. So yes, he can play a very positive role now. But again, this is Saturn, he's slow, he's difficult, and he wants from us what? Discipline, time orientation, time respect, nature respect. We can't go and cut a tree or harm nature and expect Saturn to be pleasant and loving with us. It's not possible. The more we respect nature, the more we respect the trees, the more we are connected with nature, the more we maintain high moral values, the more Saturn will be easy with us. Not entirely, this is not possible because his role is, he's like the liver of the solar system galaxy. He's like swallowing our bad karma. So, and I was told by a very spiritual person who would see what's happening on Saturn, that this is exactly how the energies there are, really cleansing and swallowing. So this is his role, and we cannot expect him to be very happy himself. But he can be, if we respect what his rules and his meaning. So yes, the markets will become easier. The agriculture, well, for the Northern Hemisphere is too late because it's already autumn almost. But still, yes, and with Ketu, you need to be about knowledge, studies, and that will go easier. If we've been struggling with some exams, now suddenly it will become easier. We may be able to pass them, and this will be especially important for people who have Sagittarius ascendant. If Sagittarius is ruling your 7th house and you've been struggling with difficult relationship, you may have it a little bit easier now, even though it is never easy when you have Saturn on the place of your relationship. So this is important to note, but still it can be can be a better, easier period. So yes, these are the main things about Saturn turning direct, and we will experience this up until January 2020 when he's moving into Capricorn, and then it will be a whole different story, so different that the world will change. I'm promising you, with Saturn moving into Capricorn, the world will be changing, because at that time also Jupiter will be in his own sign into Sagittarius, I've been waiting 12 years for this moment to make Jupiterian talismans when Jupiter will enter Sagittarius. So miraculous things will be happening, but not yet. Jupiter is entering Sagittarius in November, and Saturn is entering Capricorn in January 2020. Of course, we will talk about this separately. I'm just telling you that there will be much more happening on the sky. So yes, he will be direct. Then he will be having, towards the end of the year, his invisibility. And I'm telling you, this phase of invisibility is much more influential and important than the retrograde phase. And I will talk separately about the invisible phase of Saturn. So this was the important thing I wanted to share with you. Things will start moving for you, especially if you felt stuck. Depends where Sagittarius sign for you is. Depends also what Saturn on your natal chart represents. If Saturn would represent your 11th house or is in your 11th house, you will suddenly have a bit better development in relation to plans, projects, money. If on the 10th house, of course, this will influence your career. But in any case, people who have him on the ascendant, on midheaven, on the descendant, with the moon, with the sun, this would say Sagittarius sign on a key position. Also, Gemini on a key position. Those people who experience for good the turning direct of Saturn on the 19th of September this month. Also, if you have, for example, Pisces on the ascendant and Saturn has been squaring your ascendant for quite some time, it will be also a bit easier period for you. The same would be if you had Virgo, the square of Saturn would have been a difficult one. And also you will feel it a little bit better. But keep in mind, this is Saturn. We are not allowed to harm nature. We are not allowed to lose time orientation, to deviate from the truth, to deviate from moral values. So this was it. I will speak soon about how Saturn will turn invisible because this is very important. And then, of course, we will give very, very major attention on Saturn in Capricorn. I'm preparing for this because it will be very, very interesting period. You will see the world will not be the same after Saturn enters Capricorn. He's doing this only once in 30 years, so it's not a joke. And I remember that when he was in Capricorn 30 years ago, there were interesting events that were happening all over the world. Change of political systems, change of economy, just of everything, change of the spiritual values and beliefs of people. So similar things we will be expecting when he enters Capricorn, sidereal Capricorn, because this is the real astronomical value. So thank you for your attention. If you'd like to study astrology with me, visit my website. Thank you. Your questions and your comments are welcome.